Hey, it's Ellie, the Empress here. Alright, you're all dead. Let me explain. You know, so first of all, happy 11/11 portal, everyone. This is November 11th, 2024. It is the 11/11 portal. Very, very important day. With that being said, it is Monday, Moon Day. We don't exist. However, we exist in every realm of reality all at the same time. Yes, it's all that woo woo spiritual talk. At the end of the day, what a lot of people don't know, and some will never know, is that this construct was made intentionally. We all know about the matrix. We know about the divine matrix, which is the womb, the divine goddess. In order to have man, you must have woman. In order to have God, you must have goddess. So we know about that, the basic etymology of things. Will Wortman said, "Hey Ellie, what's good? Much gratitude, win for being a trillionaire entity." Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, you guys. So the context of how today is going to seem like a virtual business meeting. So I'm giving some gems. What's good, Nika? Much gratitude for also being a trillionaire entity. Yeah, we get the members in the chat. You can get access to the virtual business meetings as a member here on this page. The information I'm sharing with you guys today, I will keep this up. You will always have access to this. However, to get in more depth information, that is in the description box. So we have talked a little bit about what I am doing, and now we'll talk more about what I've been doing behind the scenes for the community as a collective, what we all can do. So with me saying we're all dead, and I had to include myself because I'm not completely finished with my processing at this current day and time. In the future, of course, I will be finished. At the end of the day, I am learning with you all. That's what this channel has always been. This channel was never me being some expert, knowing every single thing about whether it's spirituality or sovereignty or whatever rights we have in this country. I am just aware of certain things. When it does come to the cosmos and I do know something, I will express it that way. So, for example, if I do a tarot reading and I get a download and then boom, it becomes true later, that's something that I will know. That's something that's intuitively, spiritually guided. Whereas when I'm learning information with you all, I'll read books with y'all and I will let you know the source of the information. I will let you know, hey, I'm just now learning this. I am no known expert or anything. I just have a resource and I want y'all to know about it because I know that it is important. I didn't even read your comment, Nika. You said wholeness, gods and goddesses. Much gratitude. So, what do I mean by you're all dead? What do I mean by we're dead? In particular, specifically in the United States, we have things like birth certificates and social security numbers, and that puts us into the matrix system of the United States corporation. The irony of a lot of things is that when people hear America, they think about the United States. When people are in the United States, they think of America. But we are the United States of America, meaning it is a corporation within a land. Is not of the land. So technically the United States is not America. But when people say just the general word America, they automatically think about the United States, despite the fact that we have Canada, Mexico, and we have all the countries in South America. When people hear America, they don't think Brazil. They don't think Haiti. They don't think Portugal. They think United States. They think Statue of Liberty. They think Hotlanta. They think Hollywood. It's all irony. And it's etymology. And it's a bunch of paperwork. So let's take it back to what a lot of us learned a long time ago as children in school. I will get to what I mean by the concept of being dead. Just give me a minute. Let me get you to the mindset of where I'm at right now. So things like the Boston Tea Party or the Declaration of Independence. All right. The Boston Tea Party was y'all know how people were boycotting Starbucks recently, right? So similar concept, just way more destructive. Tea was poured out in Boston to stick it to Big Brother, saying, hey, we're not going to participate in your commerce system in the way that you want us to. So one of your biggest commodities, we're just going to waste it. We're not going to partake in it. That's what the Boston Tea Party was. It had nothing to do with actual tea. It was about the commodity that tea was and still is currently. Of course, in Europe is way more of a commodity than the United States. Or I'll say it like this. It's more commonly used by the everyday person in Europe. However, because the United States corporation is so large, that would make it a larger commodity in the United States at this current time. But at that time, it was the largest commodity, if not one of the largest commodities. So that was the stick it to them. And what is the Declaration of Independence? A piece of paper. It's a declaration. I am saying to you that I am independent. So as a nation, the United States of America, that is what the 13 colonies decided to do to remove themselves from European ownership. Now, we know that because of the way that the matrix is formulated, that ownership never fully went away. So then that brings you into the Bank of England, the Bank of London, the Federal Reserve, and things of that nature, where the land of the United States is owned by the United States Corporation, but the United States Corporation still uses Federal Reserve notes for its currency. United States dollar is issued by the Federal Reserve Bank, which is in cahoots with Europe. So it's just a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of words and a bunch of games that these entities started and continue to play to this day. So because people do not know the basics of what all that means, people hear content that I make and I talk about money and I talk about spirituality, and people get scared because they think that spirituality means you can't have money. And that's one of the tricks. That's one of the tricks of the enemy. So that's where the Bible gets used to manipulate people's minds, where they say it's easier for a rich man to go through the eye of a needle than to get into heaven. So people automatically in their minds think, well, maybe I don't need to be rich because I want to get into heaven. Okay, that has nothing to do with anything at all. But because of the way that the Bible is written and the way that rhetoric is used within the Christian churches and the Catholic churches specifically, it makes people dread having wealth versus embracing what wealth is and seeing things from the perspective of the wealthy. Nika said you hitting a lot of points. This is a nice breakdown. And how you doing mentally? I'm doing great, honestly. And honestly, I didn't even get into anything yet. I'm just getting warmed up to what I'm finna say, because it's like, that's a bold statement. You're all dead. What? Yes. So back to the concept of documenting who you are as a person. There's a lot that goes into English. The English language is, we all know and we all hear all the time that the English language is a cursed language. It just goes so much more beyond what anybody thinks. Because it's so small, people wouldn't think that it went that deep. The concept of capital and lowercase letters is so much more important than we're taught that it is. We're just taught that it's good grammar. It's much beyond the simple grammar. It's also a statement of being. All right, so I'm going to read this part. The Responsible Act passed, CQV Act 1666, meant all men and women of UK were declared dead and lost beyond the seas. This was during the plague. Let me read exactly. Okay, but yeah, this was during the plague time period. It's ironic because I have my door open, and usually I can just allow my door to be open, and a fly is in here. I'm not surprised because that usually doesn't happen, but I decided to go live with my door open, and now all of a sudden there's a fly. When you get into a different space, you can recognize monitoring spirits a whole lot easier. So it's like I got 2 active members in the chat right now, and I'm aware of your presence, and I appreciate y'all. Y'all are actual supporters on my platform. And then there's other people who are watching who are not supporting. They're just watching, and they've been watching for some years. All they can do is take on the form of a fly to be nosy and see what's going on behind the... Y'all, can y'all tell me what y'all heard last? Because I didn't even see that it had paused. See, you see what I mean? Because I just said what I said about the monitoring spirits. My connection don't be acting up like that. It really doesn't. This is really important information, and I'm telling you the source of where you can get it from so that you can help yourselves to know exactly what this matrix is. Yeah, the fly. Nika said, oh, word. This is just the appetizer. Can't wait to get the main course. LOL. I'm glad you're good. Yeah, I appreciate it. No, honestly, when the fly, like, that's why I said what I said. I know what's going on. I know what's going on. I haven't said anything. We're only 11 minutes in. I really haven't said anything. What was the last part y'all heard? Because I want to make sure y'all hear. I'll repeat the whole thing, actually. Since they want to play with the connection like that, a fly and a interrupted connection not gonna stop nothing. Like what? If y'all don't remember, I'll reread it. You said, LOL. You wasn't lying when you said synchronicity stay coming with you. Man, look, my life is a synchronicity. My life is a meditation. No low vibration here, only elevation. Okay. I'll restart it. The Responsible Act passed, CQV Act 1666, meant all men and women of UK were declared dead and lost beyond the seas. The state took everybody and everybody's property into trust. The state took control until... Oh, okay, yeah. This is why you always need representation when involved in legal matters, because you're dead. The legal fiction, there we go, the legal fiction. I'm so done. What the heck? Okay. The legal fiction is a construct on paper and a state in trust. When you get a bill or summons from court, it is always in capital letters, similar to tombstones on graveyards. So here we go. I'll read that again. Remember, I was talking about grammar with the capital versus lowercase letters. When you get a bill or summons from court, it is always in capital letters, similar to tombstones in graveyards. Capital letters signify death. They are writing to the dead legal fiction. A legal fiction was created when someone informed the government that there was a new vessel in town based upon your birth. Yeah, based upon your birth. Let me read that again. A legal fiction was created when someone informed the government that there was a new vessel in town based upon your birth. Birth certificates are issued at births. Okay? All this information relates to how the general public are still legally tied. Through amorality law, through this ancient legal construct, we can be easily controlled. Bro, it's the fly, bro. Like, I'm concentrating as hard as I can. And it's just... Through amorality law, through this ancient legal construct, we can be easily controlled. Learning about your legal fiction helps you to unlock yourself. Otherwise, you are just a vessel floating on the sea of commerce. It is possible to be free from financial stress and debt. So there's all this stuff going on that we wouldn't think ties together. You have all this paperwork that happens, and because we were born into a system, we don't see anything wrong with it until we learn about information like this. Like, oh, okay, then you think about it. Did birth certificates ever exist before? No. Births were recorded. They were recorded, but a birth certificate, why do you have to go to some sort of office in your county, city, state and pay for your birth certificate? Why do you have to go to some office to get a copy of your social security number? Why does the government control that information? This was put into place intentionally to keep track. When they say things like we're overpopulated or people can't be found, people went missing, that's all a construct. Is how much effort are they going to put into helping an individual and or an entity? Because aren't we already dead? The show is called First 48. Give them a good 2 days, they're done looking. Unless that being, that entity, has some sort of commerce flow behind their name, then there's more of an incentive to find said entity, even if they are considered dead. Oh, we want to find them, we want them dead or alive. What's the value in someone, whether they're dead or alive? Exactly what is that value? We think grammar is grammar. We think economics is economics class. We think social studies is social studies. And we think math is math. And we think business is business. It's all the same thing. All of it is the same thing. Because individuals are taught legalese in certain classes, then they're given a deeper depth. Even if you talk to people who went to law school or paralegal school, they couldn't even tell you the depths of a lot of this stuff because they're taught that law is law. A lot of it is in Latin. There's a reason that a lot of law is written in Latin. Certain letters are capitalized in Latin and or in legalese. Legalese is Latin. Y'all, that is my cat. She is going at it right now. She's in heat at the moment. See, like, y'all have been on my streams for a while. I usually don't have this many distractions. I don't have none of this type of stuff going on during my streams usually. So I know what I'm saying is very, very important because I'm just like, bro, not back to back, bro. Like, we'll have like one good interruption in like an hour and a half stream. Yo, we're not even 20 minutes in. We're 18 minutes in. All this stuff going on. So somebody needed to hear this. I feel like all of you needed to hear it. And I'm also going to give more resources on how you can get access to this information. I'm going to read over what I just read again and break it down more, not just from my perspective, but from the perspective of how the United States looks at things and how entities such as the Roman Catholic Church or the Vatican also looks at things. Nika said, for real, if they go hard finding drug dealers and shit like they do, they can find all these missing people. See, here's the thing about even with drug dealers. Drug dealers aren't even drug dealers. They're just move around guys. The real drug is in people being addicted to something. So it's like we'll hear about like the hard drugs and oh, they're crossing the border with all these illegal substances. Well, we already know about big pH. I'm gonna say it like that. I'm gonna say big pH. I just want y'all to get the information. I don't feel like my channel being flagged for nothing. So we know about big pH, where you can get an actual prescription for certain things and then things you don't need a prescription for. Tea is also a drug. Tea is a drug. Coffee is a drug. They have cocaine in them. Not cocaine, my bad. I meant to say caffeine. I'm not trying to get flagged. Caffeine. They have caffeine in them. They have caffeine in them. You have chocolate. You have nicotine, tobacco. Those are drugs. Are cigarettes good for anybody? No. However, they are legal. So they're one of the largest commodities in the United States. I wouldn't say all around the world, but in the United States. why does it make sense that tobacco is legal and cannabis is illegal? Tobacco, or at least nicotine, is known to cause cancer. Cannabis is known to not cause cancer. Not trying to get flagged. So, what makes one better than the other? Documents and paperwork. Somebody said one is allowed and one isn't. That's all it is. So when you see things from the perspective of those who are in control, then it's easier to conceptualize the fact, okay, all this is backward. So let's take a recent events, for example. What happened last week? We just had a shift in leadership. We're back to the previous president we had. Okay, so remember back when history was trying to be made in 2016. The people, the popular vote, actually did elect Hillary Clinton. That did happen. However, the Electoral College elected Donald Trump into office. Here we are, 2024. The people did not vote for Vice President Kamala Harris to be president. They did vote for Donald Trump to be president along with the Electoral College. Same construct, different universe, essentially. The United States wanted a female president in 2016. That was something, that was history that was going to be made. That was actually history made by a female president being the representation of the Democratic Party. So history was made, but not the history that the popular vote wanted. The popular vote wanted there to be a female in office. Because it isn't as if she's not a career politician who was also married to a president. She's married to a former president, so it's not as if she had zero experience. Fast forward. We have another female who became now this situation was different because Kamala Harris, she did run for president back in, she didn't run in 2016. She did run in 2020. Yeah, she ran for 2020's election. So, she was not the representation of the Democratic Party. That was Joe Biden. And then she got that face to be recognized by the Democratic Party at such a high level because of Joe Biden. That's just the truth. Don't nobody be mad. Don't nobody be mad. That's the truth of the matter. So, when it came for history to try to be made again, it did not work because it was a different process. Did Kamala Harris start as a career politician in order to run for president and then became the face of the Democratic Party? Yeah, but it was in a very, 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 very different fashion than Hillary Clinton. Even though Hillary Clinton was supported by the Obamas and Kamala Harris was also supported by the Obamas, very different dynamic. Bill Clinton was president before we knew who Barack Obama was. So Hillary Clinton had her own name and her own reputation based on her campaign, where Kamala Harris had to have a lot of endorsements and it still did not work. Donald Trump was discussing running for really office in general back in the 19s, before we even crossed into the 2000 era. Back in the 19s, he was already running. He ran for some office in New York. And since 2006, he was talking about running for president. So as a businessman, he already knew decades down the line, he was going to be president. It's paperwork. It's manifestation. This man wrote books. He spoke it out verbally. And this is the reality that he created for himself. I'm going to touch on this a little bit. So the illusion of freedom. People were talking about Jill Stein a lot and like independent parties and third party president elections and everything. You know, despite what anybody thinks, the only time it made sense to run for a third party outside of Republican or Democrat was when Kanye West ran for president. When Kanye ran for president, that was the only time to vote for anybody who was not the head runner for Republican or Democrat. That was the only time it made any kind of sense. Because that man was making waves in a certain type of way. Why do I say that? There is an illusion of choice. So when you vote, or if a person was to vote outside a Democrat or outside a Republican, they toss their vote away. We're told that that's not true and that every vote counts. But look at the Electoral College. Is the Electoral College voting for independent parties? No, they're voting Democrat or Republican. So sure, amongst the popular votes, the independent votes, you'll be seen. They'll have points. Kanye got votes. We saw that Kanye got votes. Was he anywhere near winning? Absolutely not. All it did was offset some votes a little bit. Most of the people who ran for a party outside of Republican or Democrat, their names will never be known beyond their campaign running. It's the illusion of choice. You have the right to vote independent or third party. However, whoever is Republican or Democrat or running Republican or Democrat is going to win. It's documents, paperwork, representation, and a construct by the United States corporation. We do not have a monarchy system in this country. However, the United States was created from a monarchy. So therefore, when you look at the lineage of all presidents and president-elects, everybody's related to each other except for Donald Trump. That includes Barack Obama. When people say things like, my family worked in this industry for years and years and years and years, and everybody had the same sort of job, all the dads passed on to the sons the same sort of trade. That's how politics is. So we don't have a monarchy system. We have a democracy, but it runs the same. It's just words. It's just words and different uniforms and different faces. So when we talk about this resource, is called Nationality Study Guide. When we talk about nationality, what's the nation? What nation? Especially we're talking about our people, black people. Being the original people within this country is constantly a mindfuck. The language I'm speaking right now, no one spoke it over here. This was brought by Europe. Regardless of what somebody may look like, no one spoke these languages. Well, this specific language. However, it's the most used language in the world now. Language used to be cultural. And rather than having a translator for each culture, they just put a blanket on everybody and say, here, learn this so we all have a basis. It sounds like it helps, right? It sounds like it helps as a matter of being like, oh, so we all can know exactly what each other is saying. Let's all have this blanket language that we're all using so no one's confused. However, it did the exact opposite. How many times have you had a misunderstanding with somebody because of the way you talk? While speaking English. You're speaking the same language, but you're on a different frequency. I think English, I'll have to check and see when I go back into speaking other languages, because I just haven't done that in a minute. But from what I perceive, English is one of the only languages that you can misunderstand somebody just based on the frequency you're on, based on the perspective you're coming from. Okay. Nika said, LOL, see, I didn't look at it like that. You definitely gave me a whole new perspective and gems. Nika said him or The Rock, LOL. Did Dwayne The Rock Johnson run for president? I think they said it, but I thought that was a joke. Kanye actually ran. When Wortman said, people don't know the difference between popular vote or electoral college vote. Nika said, plenty, LOL. Plenty of misunderstandings. Plenty. Just because you're on a different frequency. You didn't say any different words. You didn't use slang even. But because of the frequency you're on, you said the same exact sentence, but there was two different understandings of what happened. So there was no understanding. There was no overstanding. It was two misunderstandings. And so, yes, people don't know the difference between popular vote and electoral college. And to be honest with you, this is what I mean. We learn about this stuff in school, but because it's not explained in depth how it needs to, people are getting to be 18 years old not knowing what's happening. They're being told go vote, but they don't know that the local politician who's literally right down the street around the corner, certain politicians are required to live in the district that they represent. They don't know that their politician who lives up the street around the corner can help them next week with the issue that they're going through versus waiting 4 years for an election where this president ain't gonna do nothing for you directly. That president cannot go to your house and have dinner with you. But the politician that lives up the corner around the street can, and they do that. So rather than waiting every 4 years to vote for some person and pretending as if they're a savior of some sort, because you know that they're not a savior. If they were a savior, they wouldn't need to get elected every 4 years. Even Obama had to get elected twice. He served the 8-year term, but he had to get elected twice. And what did that do? There's still racism for all the black people who vote because of identity politics. That's another construct. These people don't care. Because to you, everybody's dead. To them, you are dead. It don't matter what your skin look like. Racism is just a game. It's just used to cause discourse and distractions. That's another part in here. I need to find that sentence. I want to read that one sentence. It says, by creating a controversy, you become liable for a case. So what they do is they use racism as a form of controversy. Nobody cared about anything this election other than black woman. Is she really a black woman? Is she really black? Even when certain things were brought up within policies, it was all based around identity politics versus if Kamala Harris was running as a white man, nobody would have cared about the policies that she implemented when she was it Attorney General? I don't remember the exact position, but in the state of California, nobody would have cared. No one would have cared. But because she's a black woman or a woman of color, it mattered so much. What sort of policies did Tim Walz put into place? No one knows. No one cares. Even people who do know, they don't actually care. No one cares. But because Kamala Harris is a woman of color, that was what gained votes. And that was what brought attention to make sure that people did not vote for her. It's all a game. At the end of the day, it's all a game. Because what they could have done was essentially what happened with Barack Obama. Joe Biden could have kept running. Because all of a sudden he's normal now. At first he was Sleepy Joe. Now he's normal acting. And it's like, where was this Joe Biden the whole time? Joseph, where were you the entire time? He cooling now. They could have just pushed him through, and then Vice President Kamala Harris would have became president by default if he was to either leave office during his presidency and or, he just age out of his vessel. That would have been the easiest route. Rather than trying to have this woman of color run for president for, what was that, 4 months? I don't even think her campaign was that long. I just say all of that to say it's all about paperwork and documentation. So when you take the time to learn about your personal documentation, it becomes easier to see things from the lens of those who are in control of things, because the control was put in control centuries ago. Things were put into control a couple of thousand years ago, but things got solidified. Like I read in 1666, just a few hundred years ago, where things got solid and tight to where you now have to look up documents, you have to go to all these libraries, and then it's just books and books and books and books and books of things. And you got to know code so you know what to spend time on and what not to spend too much time on. Nika said, "You right. He was talking about running multiple times. I don't think he actually ran. Yeah, he didn't run for president up until 2016, but he ran for office in New York a long time ago. But he didn't win, though. I think he ran. Did he run independent? And that was the thing. That's why he figured out he just needs to run Republican, because he's a white man. He knows what this is. He knows it's a construct. So by him already being a billionaire, he's already up there with certain people, and he knows how the construct is. No one cares about anything for real. So if he was to run as a Democrat, he wouldn't get as many votes because of how he is and what he looks like. He knows for a fact he used the right party to gain him to the power that he is, because he knows that in the back of everybody's mind, it's a monarchy anyway. He's already seen as a monarch, being a billionaire, being a person of financial status at a certain type of point already. So now you add in political power with that. He created himself a monarchy within the United States system. And he was born in New York. So that's already that sort of power. Like, that's very, very New York. When Wortman said, I don't know if she is or not. I just leave it. I leave it. I just leave it. I'd be like, it is what it is. I use this life as a way to teach people, because at the end of the day, does Kamala Harris matter? Does Donald Trump matter? No. Kamala Harris mattered when she was helping to govern the state of California, or the regions within California that she was helping to govern. That's when she mattered. When she became vice president, when she ran for president, she stopped mattering. Kamala Harris is now a construct rather than a person. That is an entity rather than an individual. Sure, since she did not become president, she could still be considered an individual, but you still have a certain stamp on yourself when you become a vice president. Donald Trump is not a person anymore. That is a construct. That is a concept. That is an entity. The whole thing with MAGA, that's a nation. If we're being honest, the MAGA is a nation. This man created a nation within a nation. If we're talking about energy, if we're talking about how much money do you think Make America Great Again has made? All them hats, all them t-shirts. Bro, that is a nation. Compare the sales of American flags to MAGA merch. Okay. That's his own subnation. Name me one Democratic politician that even came close to that. Obama was close, but he didn't have like merch. It was the Obama name. It was Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, and the daughters and the dogs. They didn't set a nation. They represented black people. Their nation was black people. So it's different. Name me one Democratic politician who has come close. I'll do you one better. Name me a Republican politician that came close to what MAGA is. Like, what is anybody talking about? That man created a whole sub-nation in this country. Because he knows the game of commerce. It's not about a vote. He knows that it literally did not matter what he was doing and what he was talking about. That's why he say whatever he want to say. He say all type of crazy stuff all day. Forget Twitter. People were mad about his tweets back in the day. This man just started saying stuff on video. He don't care. He doesn't have to care. It was never about an election. It was about how much screen time can everybody get. I mean, because look, okay? He be saying the crazy stuff he be saying. Kamala Harris was having a whole bunch of performances. And like well-known figures speak. Not like, of course she did have political figures speak, but it was so many well-known figures speaking that have nothing to do with politics. You don't think this person and politics. It's like, okay, when Lil Baby went to go meet President Biden and Vice President Harris at the White House back in 2020. Was that 2020, 2021? I want to make sure. That was 2020. That made sense because he made a political move. Did they have Lil Baby up there this time? No! Where was Lil Baby? He wrote a whole song about Black Lives Matter. It would have been smart to involve him in the campaign. Where was everybody's brains at? Who are all these random people that don't talk about activism? This is what I'm saying. Ice Cube. They could have got Ice Cube up there. Nah, I know Ice Cube don't really fuck with the... he don't really mess with the Democrats all that much. I know that. I'm aware of that. At the end of the day, they could have asked. They may have. I don't know. But that would have been better representation than what was happening. It was just this whole black women, black women, black women. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. But I know plenty of black women who own successful businesses that help people directly. Shoot, you could have got daycare teachers up there. They're the ones taking care of the children right now. Rather than how everything went, it just didn't make any sense. It was a ploy for votes. It was a performance. It was a performance on his end with MAGA, him talking crazy, and it was a performance on her end with all these individuals who have nothing to do with politics. They weren't even good lobbyists. That's what I mean. Like, there's so much to it. I'm like, this was all for the camera. This was all for camera. It was all for show. So I'm going to read over these excerpts a little bit more, and y'all can find this information, not the stuff I'm talking about, but the information I'm reading. I'm just expounding upon it from the way of coming from my perspective and the way that I see things and the way that this country is set up and the way that I perceive that the Roman Catholic Church and the Vatican perceive what's going on here in the United States. Me, as a black woman, you know, I have a certain way of maneuvering throughout the country. Everybody's given a character. It's like playing a game. Then you're spawned in. You don't get to customize your character at all. You have to take the character that you have, and then you have to go through the different levels and customize your character as you go along. That's all it is. Even too, I'm going to read this part too. This says, the legal fiction is always guilty. Only in the high courts can the real man or woman appear. Games are played on courts. Hence, the name court is a game with actors, acting on acts. It is to be treated as a game and just business. That's all it is. That's all it ever was. That's all it ever will be. That's why you have to take control of yourself. This is what it means to be sovereign. Taking control of your name. When Wartman said 100, y'all. I'm going to read this part again. And like I said, y'all can find this information in the description box to get access. 24/7 access. Matthew Thomas said equity runs the system. Exactly. Nika said bars, mic drop, LOL. Gratitude. All right. Your only way out is to reclaim your dead entity become the trustee and remove yourself from the amorality law that hold you in custody. The Responsible Act passed, CQV Act 1666, meant all men and women of UK were declared dead and lost beyond the seas. The state took everybody and everybody's property into trust. The state takes control until a living man or woman comes back and claims their titles by proving they are alive, and claims for damages can be made. This is why you always need representation when involved in legal matters, because you're dead. The legal fiction is a construct on paper, an estate in trust. When you get a bill or summons from court, it is always in capital letters, similar to tombstones in graveyards. Capital letters signify death. They are writing to the dead legal fiction. Birth certificates are issued at birth. A legal fiction was created when someone informed the government based upon your birth. Okay? So yeah, you can get access to that information. All the info is in the description box on how to do that. This is called Nationality Study Guide. So when you get access to the organization that has this, you look up Nationality Study Guide and all that would be there. So for ladies specifically, I really want men to go ahead and do that. Y'all will have access to everything. Because like I said, this is very similar to how the virtual business meetings are. But I will not be discussing information to this caliber in a virtual business meeting. I charge y'all for what I know, what I'm an expert at, and the things that if I am learning about it, I know so much about it that I'm not tripping on what I'm talking about. With this information, I am in the midst of learning to a certain extent. So I want you to go straight to the source. I do not want you to get a membership here to get access to this. Go ahead and go straight to the source for where you can find all this information. Because this is just a little snippet of what it is I'm currently learning within this organization. So like I said, check the description box down there for that. For ladies specifically, I will be talking to y'all more about things like this within the research team. So if you become part of the research firm, if you join and become part of the research team, which is also in the description box, you will have different access to this information because I will be talking with you about it directly within our group settings. Otherwise, for guys, y'all do have to join the organization through that direct source. The research team is for ladies only, and whether we're writing about this stuff or not, it's important for all of us to know about this information. So to become a writer, all that information is in the description box as well. And we could talk about these things within our group settings specifically. But yeah, that's a lot. I know. It's like, we're all dead. What? It's because our names are capital on certain documents. That's literally it. That's why English is English. It's a cursed language. All this stuff, the smallest thing that you wouldn't think was important, is so important. When someone creates an LLC, an S corp, a C corp, a trust, all these things are so significant. A lot of these corporations are nations within themselves. Think about the way, in comparison, I'll say it like this. Compare how easy it is to tell somebody to order something from, we'll just say, for example, order something from Amazon versus telling them to vote for a specific politician. Okay, you tell somebody, hey, you can pay $10 more for this item. Instead of going to the store, you can have it delivered to your house with this service. They said, okay, bet. I'll pay the extra money so I can stay home. Versus someone who can change policies for everyone in their entire family. Tell them to vote for them. I don't really know about that. It's all this stuff. It's convenience. And it's paperwork. It's easy to spend money for convenience rather than to do something that requires research that's free. Isn't voting free? It didn't used to be free. Now it's free though. Because you can't ask them to do what I'm doing. I'm going to the politicians' faces and asking them to implement the things that I have in mind. I would never ask someone to do that. I'll only ask the people who claim that they're activists to do that. But for the regular everyday person, it's like, no, if you want to vote, pay attention to who's in your backyard rather than who's running all of these millions of people. It don't make sense to pay attention to the macro, pay attention to your micro, pay attention to your universe, who is in your vicinity. It's all paperwork. It takes patience and it takes dedication. What are you going to do for yourself and for your family? Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go. I don't see any more comments. I don't know if I don't think I have any more questions. But yeah, ask your questions to who is linked in the description box. It's my husband, by the way. So yeah, you guys, you guys can get that information from him, and he can explain everything once you are within. It's called the Private Wealth Club. Once you get into the club, you'll have access to. This isn't even what I read to y'all. Isn't even 1%. It's not even 0.1% of all the information that he has. We have this thing. I've talked to some of y'all in my audience or people who are close to me. I've talked to some of y'all about who I am within the cosmic realms. I have many different positions and names and titles. However, I'm the cosmic librarian. I can find whatever you need and I can bring it to you. He's the cosmic library. He just is. He has all the information. Nika says, say what? I know, right? So, I'm the cosmic librarian. He is the cosmic library. Whatever you need, he got it. Now, will he throw a book at you? Yes. But I will open the book with you and guide you through it. Okay? So that's our balance. That's how we operate. That's how we do things. I am the secretary of this organization and I am now part owner. So we're working together. We've been on the same mission for a very, very long time. And we have now come together as a union in order to help everybody rather than, keep things singular, one at a time sort of thing. It took a little minute. We've known each other for years, but now everything makes a whole lot more sense. I'm learning the information he's sharing and he is implementing things in a whole new way. So now with our union, it's a business union along with that other stuff that I'm not going to talk about on camera. So yeah, y'all, look, if you're on my podcast, you get it. Like I talked about this on the Tantric Time Lords podcast recently, and it's a whole lot that goes into it. It's like when you get into a relationship with somebody, Brad, don't just get into a relationship with anybody just because. Like, you have to be mission based. This is what I meant by early in my channel. I would talk about kingdom based businesses, and kingdom relationships. I don't talk about kingdom spouses a whole lot, but that was the goal of it. Get with somebody who's on the same mission as you. If you get with somebody who's on the same mission as you, all the other stuff figures itself out. Honestly. Because no wait, I'm so serious, bro. All the other stuff figures itself out, because it's like, if you go in with shallow intentions, you're going to get shallow results, and then people get upset. My intention is to help our people. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all this other stuff going on. Now, I know most people will not be able to digest all the information that I read. Some people will watch this video 2-3 times and be like, I don't know what's going on. That is okay. That is okay. That's why I have my platform. It's a bit more easy to comprehend versus those who really want to dive in. You want to dive deep, go ahead, join. It's a ministry and it's also a private wealth club, okay? When that makes sense, 100. Yeah. It's, yeah. It makes me laugh a lot. I feel like, Yo, because I'm gonna go ahead and close the stream out. But anybody who's been on a soulmate, high level soulmate or twin flame journey, and you need, I really be looking at this man like, what? I be feeling the way. I be like, what took me so long? Like I'm confused. I don't know what the heck happened. Like, it was always something going on. That's the truth of the matter, for real. It was always something going on, and I never put that together. This is what happened. I told him, I was like, hey, I want to join your organization next year, and can we do some things for the community online, though, up until I join your organization? He was like, yeah. So we did that months ago, like almost a year ago, like literally 11 months ago. And now this. So I was like, yo, I just wanted to join your organization and help people. He was like, you're my wife now. I was like, okay. That's exactly how it happened. I'm not kidding. If I could exaggerate, I can't. Like, nothing in my life I can exaggerate. I mean that so literally. I have a British brother-in-law. My family is being taught about in universities now. I'm a princess. I'm not joking. Like, all this is researchable. It's all facts. I'm like, there's nothing that I can joke about. That's what my actual life is. I got multiple family lines in Europe at this point. Now Africa too. The Jim Crow era is now being spearheaded in history classes, specifically Black history classes. And the presentation that I showed y'all a few months ago, my family is now at the forefront of that within my hometown and across the country and in other countries. Look, bro, this is what I mean by sovereignty. Nika said, LOL, the way things come together or happen. Facts. When Wortman said, I'm not surprised. Look. It's so funny to me because I literally just wake up, I'm like, yo, my life is so interesting. Like, it's just interesting. I don't even know what to say most of the time. I'm like, okay. But anyway, y'all, I'm finna go ahead and go. I will see y'all in the next one. Shalom, Rainicorns, Thawada, and that means thank you in Hebrew. And I will talk about the legalese behind Hebrew talk too. That will be in another stream. Okay, bye y'all.